Hey, it's the preacher, and today we're going to cook something that I just kind of mixed up a few weeks ago. And I was cooking casseroles at church, and when I cook casseroles, I try to cook about 3 different casseroles. That way, if you don't like this one, you like that one. I do some with pasta, some with rice, and then some with something else, maybe some kind of potato as a kind of a filler, and then some will be with chicken, some will be with sausage, some will be with hamburger. And so I wanted to kind of throw together a Mexican style casserole. And so I got some rice, some cream cheese, some sour cream, some hamburger meat, some onions, some pepper, some garlic, and some cheese. And then I just started cooking everything, get everything cooked. I just kind of mixed it all up together, added some taco seasoning, put it in a casserole dish and baked it, and it turned out great. So we're going to do that today, except instead of ground beef, we're going to use deer meat. And people ask me all the time, how do you cook deer meat? Well, I cook it mainly if I'm using ground meat. I use it anything you would use ground beef in, I'd use ground deer. You just have to keep in mind that deer is going to be leaner, a lot leaner than beef. And so some people try to compensate, and they'll try to include the deer's fat in their hamburger meat, and then they wonder why it tastes bad. Deer fat doesn't render down like beef fat. So don't be grinding up a bunch of white fat. And a lot of times when people say that deer meat tastes bad, what they're tasting is deer fat. And deer fat doesn't taste like beef fat or like pork fat. Deer fat tastes a little different, and that's what gives deer meat kind of an off taste sometimes. So here's what we'll do. I've got everything chopped up. I've got the rice cooked. Let's brown the deer meat, and I'll show you how to assemble this casserole, and we'll bake it. Okay, to this hot oil, I'm going to add 1 large jalapeno pepper and about half of a small onion. I've got a little garlic. I'll put that in later. Alright, that's a little over 1 pound of ground deer meat. I'm going to add some taco seasoning. Use the brand of your choice. I put this stuff on everything. Goya adobo seasoning. Alright, this is some of my own ground pepper here. And I'm just going to add a little bit. Okay, let me show you this deer meat. As you can see in this skillet, there's really no fat in it. And I added some oil in there to brown, or at least start cooking the onions and the peppers, and there's really no fat in there. So I'm not going to drain this. I'm going to leave it in the skillet. But here's a little pro tip. Anytime you're making a casserole and it's calling for you to mix in cream cheese, and that's what I've done in mine, I've had this cream cheese setting out for, I don't know, about 3 hours, and cream cheese is still kind of cream cheese. So I just drop it into the meat. The meat's hot, the pan's hot. I'm going to set the pan on the oven, and that'll kind of soften the cream cheese up a little more. Now I have zero measurements for this. What I do is I do everything according to what I like and my taste. All right? So this was 1 cup of rice and 2 cups of water. I'm going to start off by putting half of that in here. I'll put a little more than half. So let's just call that 3/4 of a cup of rice pre-cooked. I'll probably end up putting it all. But this is jasmine rice. You can use any rice. To the rice, I'm going to add 1 can of rinsed and drained black beans. Look at all that stuff we filtered out of there. Let's give that a stir. Yeah, I want all that in here. What am I thinking? Alright. So there's rice, there's beans. Now, to that, I'm going to add this mixture. I'm going to break that up. Alright, to that I'm going to add the deer burger with, that's a half of a stick or a box of cream cheese. I'm going to add that. Tell you what, let's take a little sample. Sour cream. Now, if you don't like sour cream, leave it out. If you don't like cream cheese, leave it out. Add something else. I'm going to put, I don't know, maybe a third of a cup? Half a cup. I'm going to put a half a cup of sour cream in there. And I have found that dairy products really help deer meat. Whether it's sour cream, buttermilk, cream cheese. All of these seem to, in my opinion, give deer meat a better, milder, richer, I don't know what you want to call it. They just seem to mellow it out. And so we're just going to mix this around, making sure that I've kind of found those clumps of cream cheese. You don't want to beat this into oblivion, but you do want the cream cheese to be stirred around. Now to this we're going to add some more of our taco seasoning. I would say probably all in all it would be about one package if you're buying it in the package. But we've got a lot of rice here, we've got a lot of beans here. We seasoned the meat pretty well, but we're going to season the rice and the beans pretty well. That way we get that Mexican taco flavor all the way through. I usually use like a Mexican blend of cheese, but I have some mozzarella left. Not much, but a little bit. So I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to put a little bit of cheddar in there. And what that will do is kind of help bind it all together. So we've got to get the taco seasoning and the cheese stirred around. We don't want to turn it into mush. We want the beans to stay intact. So we're kind of gently just folding it over. Alright, I got my blue cake pan, 9.5 by 13. And I'm going to spread this mixture out into the cake pan. This little piece here, this is for me. That cheddar cheese, we're going to go right over the top with it. How much cheddar cheese? As much as you want. As much as you have, I don't care. Whatever you like. The main thing here is we just want to melt the cheese and heat everything through. It's all fully cooked. Nothing needs to be cooked in the oven. We just need melty cheese and hot casserole. That's what we end up with. Let me give you a close-up of that right there. Look, as they say, Bill Gowdy, look at the goodness. Would you look at that? Now, let me get this plated up and I'll show you me eating it. How about that? Alright, as you can see, we're a little bit browned on the top. The cheese has got a little bit of crust to it. That's what I like. I like the cheese to be a little brown. It comes out, I just cut a square out, lifted it out. Let's give it a try. I don't taste deer meat. I mean, I really don't. I would never know that was deer meat. And like I said, a lot of that is not the way you cook the meat. It's the way you prepare the meat when you're cutting it off the bone. What you allow to go into that grind is going to affect the way it tastes. But it has a really, really good taco Mexican flavor because we added the seasoning, some of my own home ground peppers. This is a mixture of some of my own ground pepper that I dehydrate and grind it. This is green and red and orange. It kind of gives a brown mix. Here's some cayenne. Some cayenne. So I use a little bit of that. But you don't really taste the pepper. What you're tasting is the rice, the beans, the taco seasoning, the peppers, the onions that you cooked in there. Mmm. That's so good. Tell you right now, I'm going back for seconds. That wasn't near big enough. Okay, for the sake of full disclosure, that first little modest slice, that's what you see them eat on TV. This is about twice that size. And I zigzagged some sriracha sauce over it and put a big old dollop of sour cream in the middle. This is the way I eat mine. Oh man. Mo better. Thanks for watching.